Come on, come on. There we go. We are now live. All right. All right. Now we gotta give the people a chance to get up in here because folks folks are doing whatever they're doing and everything, and this is the first show, so gotta give people a chance to you know to get up in here. But yeah, but as you were saying, um you do have to give in order to get. But it's very hard to do that, especially nowadays, because once you've been through a few things or whatever, you become jaded. All of us do. And you just don't, and as you get older, you just don't want to deal with specific nonsense. You know what I mean? So it's very hard to let people in, you know? Um and so I definitely feel you on that. I mean, me, this isn't the like, okay, I can do this, but even in doing this, some of my certain things in my personality come out. Like, I'm not necessarily one for public speaking because in all honesty, in my personal life, I don't talk a lot. Um, and all my life I've had to deal with overcoming the speech impediment. I stutter, and so I still do so now. Not as bad as I did when when I was a kid, but that comes out, especially like if I'm trying to make a point and what have you and whatnot. So I'm not the most smoothest speaker publicly. So what I mean, and then like I said, I don't talk a whole lot. And also I'm one of those individuals. Yeah, I'm introverted as well.
Mhm.
If I don't already know anything about you, I'm like, you stay over there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You stay over there. But I cannot necessarily be like that all the time because, for one, I have a group, and for two, I'm trying to build certain things. So I got to give in order to get. So I definitely understand that. But that was also very big of you to actually admit that with your ex-husband, you weren't his piece. Not very many women actually would say that. Not very many women would actually say that. They will say, "Oh, well, it was him, it was the cat, it was the dog, it was the weather, it was
No,
this, it was that." But actually,
no.
what you said, I've not really heard a lot of women say that.
Well, let me tell you this. And it was actually, it upset me and it hurt me more than I think he knows, because he came after we were divorced. And we had a good marriage. There was no infidelity. He just
Hey,
got,
Robbie, go
you
ahead.
know, hey, Miss Robbie, he got boring or whatever. But he came to me. And the one thing he said to me that sticks with me every day is, he said, your mouth, he said, you made me feel like I was nothing, like I was nobody. And I looked at him, and when I started to think back, I was like, no, I didn't do that. But I can't tell him how I made him feel because I said something that was inappropriate or I said it out of anger. And it was just like, so when he said that to me, it's like this man trusted me with everything that he had. And I made him feel that way. So I had to ask him, I said, so how do I change that? I said, what is it that I have to do? He said, first of all, you need to think about what you say because you can't take it back. He said, but the other thing is, maybe you need to think about how it would make you feel if I said it to you. And I looked at him and I understood what he was trying to say to me, because prior to that, I'm one of those people, I just say it, no
Hmm.
chaser, no,
Hmm.
and it's like a lot of people tell me, they like, gee, you, man, the way you say things sometimes. And it's partly from being in the military, it's partly from being in the military around all men. And then, growing up in New York, it's just like, hey, we just say what we say and we keep it pushing. You like it, you like it, you don't, you don't.
Hmm.
Everybody's not like that. They take think it's about perception. And what I said may not necessarily be how he took it or how I meant for him to take it. So I've learned a lot about adjusting my tone, adjusting the volume of my voice when I say things to people, as well as thinking about what I say before it comes out my mouth, because it can be a little rough at times, especially if I'm angry. So I've adjusted me so that I don't offend other people. And that's what it's about. It's about me being accountable for what I say and what I do, because a person can't be at peace with me if I'm held on two little legs. That's just the way it is.
I
Yeah,
dig that. Because I feel you on that, on all of that. I mean, I'm definitely straight to the point, cut, dry, whatever, you know what I mean? And and for years it was just like, okay, well, this is me. This me, it's what it is. You don't like it, kick rocks.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
to a certain extent, I'm still like that. But I have to be cognizant that not everybody is receptive to that,
correct.
and not everybody is going to rock with that. My wife, I call my wife the tone police because she's always talking about how I say things. Oh, it's your
Yeah,
tone. It's
yeah,
your tone.
yes.
And I'm like, well, I always, I'm like this. It's facts over feelings all day, every day. I don't,
Mhm.
I'm not concerned about all that other stuff. You come to me talking about what you feel and all that. No. Does it make sense? If it don't make sense, I ain't trying to hear all that. And and I can be dismissive. It's like, look, if it don't make sense to me logically, I'm not trying to hear that. And instead of me just saying, okay, look, what you're saying and the angle that you're coming from isn't necessarily making sense to me. Let's sit down and explain it. I at times will just be rough and abrasive. Like, hey, you know what? Nah, that don't make no sense. Get out of my face. I ain't trying to hear that. And
So
I have to
do
grow
you
out of that. I
validate
have to
her?
move. Hmm?
Do you validate what your wife feels? You may not agree with it, and you may not like how she says it or what the topic is, but do you validate, baby, I hear what you're saying, and we take it from there.
There have been times when I haven't done that, but now I'm more receptive to what she's saying, and and how she may think and how she may feel, because again, she's not me, and I'm not dealing with a man. You know what I mean? So
Mhm,
that I cannot necessarily come at it like I'm dealing with a man. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And I've always been a proponent of, if you know how something works, then you know how to deal with it. Well, we as men, for all of our logic, we forget that we're dealing with women, and women don't operate like us. We want y'all sometimes to operate like us, but it's just not going to happen. That's just like asking my cat to be a dog. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, I'm not going to sit up in front and say, oh yeah, well, yeah, I do all that. No, there's times when I don't do that, and then that's when the conflict kind of start, because again, I know that I can be abrasive and all that, and like, here you go with that. I'm not trying to listen to that. And and if I want her to listen to me, I have to be able to listen to her. So, it has to be a two-way street.
So, with being a person's peace peace person, um, what women and men have to understand, if I'm going to be your peace place, you have to be mine. It may not
Mhm.
be in the same way, but I need to have peace when I'm in our personal space. And
Mhm.
um what I try and tell women, because it is totally different how we deal with it. So when I'm talking to women about being a man's peace place, we gotta talk about expectations. We got to talk about what we were raised to think a man should be, what he should do, what he should bring to the table, all of that good stuff. And then when I talk one on one about being a man's peace place, I have to tell women, you have to know who you are. You have to have peace within yourself before you can be somebody else's peace. That's like period, point blank.
Right.
Because if you fussing and raising hell and nitpicking and you're doing all of this, you're not
Mhm.
being that person's peace place. And it's important, it's important for the relationship. It's important for everybody's mental health because mental health is a big thing these days.
Indeed.
So when you have a man, he's out there, he's working hard, he's got to deal with all the stresses of the world. He's got, everybody's telling him he's got to be strong. He can't show any weakness. You know, he's got this whole world on his shoulders. And then here you come with, well, I want money to do this, or, well, I need you to do that. So now you've taken something and you've added onto what he's already carrying. So at what point can he exhale and take all of this off his shoulder? So that's why I try and tell women, stop and just step out of the problem for a minute, be the solution. When that man
Mhm.
comes home, ask him before you do. Don't, hey baby, how you doing? First thing you want to know is, what can I do for you to end your day the right way? It's not that difficult. It's not that hard. Put yourself last for one, because women are selfish. Not all women, but most women are selfish. So when he comes home, ask him, baby, what can I do to end your day right? What do you need? How was your day? Those kind of things. And
Right.
not a lot of men get that from their women. So it's communication is always the key. And communication sucks these days with people. I mean,
I
period.
agree. I
If it's
agree.
not about social media or, bags, shoes, hair, nail, that kind of thing, it's ridiculous to me. Nobody sits and communicates and talk. If there's a problem, come to me as an adult and
Mhm.
say, hey, can we talk about this? Because I don't think there's anything two adults can't talk about. I mean, that's just my opinion. But
Right.
if you say you love this person and you want to spend your life, spend your, all your quality time with this person, you got to be able to talk to that person about anything and everything and know that it stays right there. And we don't have to agree on everything, but let's come to a common ground to where when we walk away from it, it's done. And that brings peace into all situations, 9 times out of 10, that we have some kind of understanding. And these days, people are so busy trying to see who can outdo who, that the understanding is not there. And,
Right.
being overseas, I'm gonna tell you, my biggest fear 2 weeks ago was coming back to the States and dating. Um, I sit back and I watch what's going on in the United States, how people deal with one another, how they talk to one another. And
Mhm.
it is just, it's scary. I mean, it's just absolutely scary. Nobody has a safe space with anyone because you got women trying to be men, you got men trying to be women. It's just total chaos. So how do you find a safe space when it's nothing but chaos? You
Well,
know,
that is why we are here. We are here to try to help facilitate that. Now, we have a question from the gallery who is, who is your guest. Well, she's actually not a guest, good people. She's actually my co-host on this show, and I'm gonna let her talk for herself because y'all already know who I am. But since we're taking this pause for the cause without breaking any laws, we gotta let her have her space and get her thing off. The floor is yours, madam.
I'm Eugenia, and I'm joining the podcast. I am ex-military. I was a U.S. contractor until 2 weeks ago. I've been living in the Middle East. Now I'm home. I live in Houston. And so I'm joining this podcast to kind of bring awareness to just certain different topics that I think is important. And for the last 21 years or so, I've been in the Middle East. So I have done a lot of closet cleaning, soul searching, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm just trying to apply what I've learned to help other people in their relationships, in their friendships, in their situationships, whatever you want to call them, to just get a better understanding of how we deal with one another and how we need to bring things back to how they used to be. So that's me.
Yes, and I agree with that. As I put a quick little description together before made the post when we went live and all that. That
Mm-hmm.
This was the alternative to the battle of the sexist narrative that is permeating social media and basically our everyday lives now, because it's like everything is all about men versus women, which is kind of sad because I don't know about nobody else out there, but I don't have women problems. I don't think of women with disdain. And there's a lot of cats out there, and you see them, on social media and all that and whatnot. And even sometimes out in the real world, like a lot of these dudes, man, they hate women. And it's like, wow, bro, it's not supposed to be about that. Now I get it. For the longest time, men didn't necessarily have a space to operate where they could actually express how they express their thoughts, express their feelings, or what have you. And then the red pill movement came along, and then everybody shifted over there. But unfortunately, when the red pill movement exploded, it allowed a lot of individuals who a lot of unsavory individuals, put it that way. And so they're barking the loudest, and people are beginning to think that they are representative of they are the face of the red pill movement. And that wasn't necessarily the case. But they've done so much that they killed that movement off themselves. And unfortunately, now the remnants of all that is you just got a lot of cats, man, that's just running around, man, just so angry with women. And I don't subscribe to that, man. I don't dig that at all. That's crazy to me.
Well,
Bro,
what's it? Oh,
no,
okay.
brother Sean Davis says, unfortunately, as a whole, cultural or societal, we have developed an inability to talk to each other instead of we talk at each other. That's true. And
Let, let,
that is
let
where
me say
almost all
this.
communication dies. Go ahead.
You just said something that's um a key point. You said men are angry with women,
Mm-hmm.
and women are also very bitter with men. But
Mm-hmm.
what I've noticed is everyone has created these problems. Women allow the men's behavior, and the men allow the women's behavior. Then everybody gets angry, but you've allowed all of this to happen. So
Right.
if people communicate and stop allowing the foolishness, then maybe you could get some things worked out, because men do hate women. I mean, overseas, the Black woman is so unprotected. It is unfreaking real. Now, the other cultures love Black women, but the Black man, it is a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. And it's just like, you can't hold me accountable for what you guys have allowed other Black women to do. And so because she got over on you, now you want to make me pay for it. Now we ain't doing that, partner. That's not getting ready to happen. But then you have the Black women that men have allowed, excuse what I'm about to say, but true is true. Men have allowed pussy to run everything. It's like it is what it is. Instead of stopping the foolishness and letting them know, you know, it's got to be more to you than that. So now what they do is they play the withholding game. Well, if you won't do this, then I'm not going to do that. And then he becomes bitter with her. And now he's sleeping with 5, 6, 7 different people. But you didn't stop the foolishness when it started. So now you angry with her because she's acting the way you've allowed her to act. You know, it's that simple.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that to an extent. I mean, it's a lot of simping out there. And when I say simping, I ain't necessarily talking about, okay, well, you know, he paying for sex and all that shit. I mean, that's one component, but simping is a lot of things. Anything that you know that makes you compromise your manhood, that's simping. And I'm not going to allow anybody to treat me any type of way. I'm not going to allow anyone to talk to me any type of way. And so, you know, I stand on a certain type of principle. And I'm I don't love anybody enough to where I'm going to allow them to run over me or disrespect me. And so you're right. It's a lot of men out here who have allowed the pursuit of women to run their lives. And then when they get caught up in a jam or things don't necessarily go their way or whatever, they get divorced or they got a gang of kids or whatever, life happens. Then it's all women's fault. When in fact, it's not all women's fault. You gotta step back and take some accountability for the role that you play in your own in your own bullshit. You know what I mean? And uh and for the most part, there are some men out there who are right who are realizing that, and they're like, okay, well, you know what? Nah, that was me. I need to do the work to get better. But there's this large contingent, there's this large pocket of men who are out here just like, yo, everything's just you got your heart broken. All right, I get it, man. That hurts, whatever. Okay, but you know what? You suck that shit up, you move on, man. It's life. It's a risk. It's a risk. You know what I mean? And not everybody that you gamble with is gonna win with you. So you're gonna have to you're gonna have to take some wins, you're gonna have to take some losses. Keep it moving. But all that old sucker shit, man, all this vitriol towards women because you chose wrong. You know what I mean? That I can never co-sign. I'll never co-sign anything like that. We got some comments here. Let's see here. Facebook user says, we've been taught to hate ourselves. Now let me get on Facebook and see who that is. Good people, as you hear my voice tonight, I need y'all to do me a favor. I need y'all to come to the YouTube channel. I really would appreciate that. Come to the YouTube channel and comment there. All right, so we can actually see who we're talking to. I mean, this is kind of it's kind of a hassle to have to go to the Facebook group or whatever and see who it is that we're talking to. All right, so Jaquise was the one that Miss Porter was the one who was asking who you are, and Tara L said we have been taught to hate ourselves. All right, now we got another. Now we got another comment from brother S. Dot. My biggest concern about the red pill movement is that that's one good point made does not make a reasonable mythology. You are correct. They have made some good points. There are some good points in the red pill ideology. However, as it's currently constructed and as a whole, it's just a bunch of crying ass dudes, man. And I can't get down with none of that, man. Can't get down with none of that. All right. And the last comment. Last comment is from Brother Tara L. He said, "Those are weak men." You are correct, brother. That you are. You are very much correct. All right. Moving on. And again, we thank you all for stopping by and chopping it up with us tonight. We are going to be doing this every Saturday night. Myself and Miss Burkett here, and we're gonna be we're gonna be getting into a lot of things. You know what I mean? And so we really appreciate y'all coming through and everything. Um, it means a lot to us. But moving on with the conversation, um, what do you think? What do you think can be done in all actuality now to you know to actually get people to to just come to the table and actually have a decent conversation? No finger pointing, no none of that. Just adults having an adult conversation.
I think it understanding. That's what
Hmm.
it's going to take. It's going to take two adults to understand I'm not coming to the table to point fingers. I'm not coming to the table to say you're at fault for this or I'm at fault for that. It is good, open, honest communication. Um, I think it will also take, you got to care about the person that you're sitting across the table from. If this person is just somebody that's a jump off, you're not going to invest anything in this person. No, you're not going to be open. You're not going to be honest. You really not going to care about how that person feels or what you do or say to them because they're just kind of in the path while you moving on. But I want to back up and I want to say something about something that you said. All these guys, I don't know what the red pill movement is. Unfortunately, sorry. Like I said, been overseas, don't know what that is. But the one thing about, okay, she hurt you, move on. Can we heal after that hurt before we move on? Because that's what's causing the biggest problems these that you got hurt women and hurt men coming into people's lives that have done nothing to them. And so instead of looking at what happened and learning from what happened, they just move on. And it's like I told you, when my ex-husband said that I did what I did, then I had to reevaluate that because I didn't want to take that into anybody else's world and make them feel that way. So you have to communicate. That's the bottom line. If you can't get an understanding and you can't communicate, nothing's going to change. Everything is going to stay the way it is. She going to stay angry. He's going to stay angry. And most of the time, they don't even know what they're angry about. They just know somebody did something to them. But is it the person that you're sitting across the table from? Did they do something? And if they
Hmm.
didn't, okay, how we're going to fix this? If you men have been taught their emotions, they just stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff instead of talking about it. It doesn't make you weak because you discuss your fears or what hurt you. It doesn't make you weak. And that's the problem. Somebody made a comment that we're taught to hate ourselves. What I think it is, men are taught to be a certain way, and it's causing issues in relationships. And because you carry that crap all day. When do you get to de-escalate? When do you get to sit back and exhale if you carrying more and more and more and more? If you're a father, a husband, a son, when do you get to release? At home with this person that says they love you and they should be creating this safe space for you, that's when you should be able to come in, let go, release, and just be able to relax a little bit and let go of some of the stuff that you're dealing with.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree. I definitely agree. And Estes said, without going too far down the conspiracy rabbit hole, it is my opinion that there were those who found a profitable business in the idea that black men and black women don't like each other. You are correct, sir. I definitely agree. That's why a lot of this has, that's why a lot of this rhetoric has been pumped directly at us. You have all these clowns, everybody with a microphone and an opinion is out here just talking, and just because their mouths work, and it's sad. It's sad. And no, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be, you don't have to have all these degrees or whatever and everything to say, to say what you think. But just like all things, not everything is the best. And just because something is being promoted heavily does not mean that it is the best out there, the best information that you can get. And to be honest, you got too many cats out here who want to live like they're players, but they don't even know how to play the damn game. Because first rule of the whole thing is this: when you are dealing with women, and I don't mean any disrespect, Miss Burkett, what I'm about to say, men have to stop treating women like they are possessions. My woman, my this, my that. Okay, well, you know what? Here's the thing, brother. She's going to do with that vagina whatever the hell she wants to do. In the event that she happens to give it to somebody else, that is no reflection upon you. All right. So yeah, she may have misled you and all that other stuff and whatnot, but you have the opportunity, once you find out that she has not been faithful to you, to leave that situation alone. Leave it alone, go on about your business. Yeah, again, it hurts. You can express that if you choose to do so. I would advise you to do so. Let it out some type of way. Yell into the wind, whatever you got to do. Do whatever. But then once you've done all that, remove yourself from the situation. You got too many cats out here who all share the same story. They're dealing with somebody, or they've dealt with somebody who didn't necessarily do right by them, according to them, because again, we don't know both sides of the tale, but it's always somebody has done, some woman has done something to them, done them wrong, kept the kids from him, and whatever, and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, but when did you get out of that situation? When did you just move? When did you remove yourself? What did you do? Oh, well, I had to stay there. No, you didn't. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You wanted to stay there. You wanted to stay there because you felt like you were doing the noble thing by being in a situation where it wasn't being hidden from you. You were being fucked over, but you decided to stay there. No, what are you teaching your kids? This is what men do. Okay, well, when somebody screws you over, you can stay there and take it. I mean, I don't understand that ideology. And then to come back around because again, things didn't work out in your favor. Now you're mad at the world, man. Whatever. I don't dig it. I can't. I can't subscribe to that.
That is correct.
All right, now let's S-Dot's on fire tonight. There are a great deal of black men and women who absolutely love each other. Unfortunately, that is
Correct.
not what is promoted or seen in our music or our cinema. Definitely
Correct.
not. Definitely not nowadays. I mean, nobody writes love songs anymore. I mean, I'm a musician, so I'm talking about what I know. People ain't writing love songs no more. It's crazy. Like all these songs or whatever is dealing with like, there was always like infidelity songs and all that, but there were love songs. There were songs about how, I mean, you had dudes just in the 90s talking about how, he was gonna give the chick, the moon, the stars, and the world and all that. Ain't nobody writing none of that no more. Ain't nobody doing none of that. Everything is about no love, no feelings, no emotions, no this. I'll replace you. I'll smash your best friend. I'll smash your brother. All this old type of stuff, man. It's wild, man. It's wild, but that's what's being promoted. So you're right about that, S-Dot. Most definitely. Stag TV. That's brother Terra L. Those are weak men who are too macho and or ignorant to seek out help. I agree. I agree.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So before we say that, this comment here, you got to look at culture, you got to look at upbringing, and it's not that it's, I'm going to say this. I don't think a lot of men just know how to seek help because of how they've been brought up. It's like you don't show weakness, you know, you don't express your feelings because then that's going to make you seem like you're weak. And it's a mindset. It's about changing the mindset of a man, letting them know it's okay to talk. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to cry. It's okay to express when you do or don't like something. That doesn't make you weak. But it takes the black woman to make him feel secure when he's in her presence and he chooses not to be macho or he chooses not to be hard and he want to just, be a little on the softer side. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, it's about the culture and it's about the upbringing. And you can't do different if you don't know different.
I agree. I definitely agree with you on that. Most definitely. And he said it's called toxic masculinity. All right. That I don't agree with because there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. Masculinity in and of itself is not toxic. Masculinity is needed. Toxic masculinity was a phrase that was that was created by a gay man, and there's
Uh-oh.
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being gay. However, toxic masculinity is a phrase that was that was coined by a gay man, and basically has been used to weapon. It has been basically weaponized against men, mainly black men, because
Mhm.
they're not necessarily saying that in other communities, but they do say that with us. Because anytime a man wants to stand up and be a man in our community, there's always some force that's trying to come along and shut it down. Always. And okay, we'll look at sports. I know y'all familiar with LeVar Ball. Y'all familiar with LeVar Ball. Y'all familiar with his sons. The Ball brothers. Well, y'all notice that when the Ball brothers first came to prominence, LeVar was everywhere. He was everywhere, whatnot, and they were promoting him like he was this crazy black dude, whatever. But he wasn't crazy. He was just basically letting it be known that, hey, you know what? I'm here in my children's lives, and and this is how we rock and roll. All that old goofy stuff or whatever that you have them other athletes doing, you're not gonna do that with my kids. Same thing with Venus and Serena's father. They painted him as a villain for a long while because he was protecting his daughters and he wasn't taking no mess. See, anytime a black man stands up and he's saying, "Hey, I'm not taking no mess. I ain't wearing no dress. I ain't doing none of that," then he's deemed as something. He's demonized, and he's hit with and it's the whole thing. He's hit with this phrase, toxic masculinity. How can masculinity be toxic? Masculinity is what's needed. There's not actually enough of it. Masculinity is what makes you stand up and protect women, as opposed to if as opposed to just laying down and let somebody do something to women. You see what I'm saying? You need masculinity to do that. So there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. That is some bullshit, and we need to stop saying that. We definitely need to get rid of that term, brother. Definitely need to get rid of that term. And yes, Dag, I know who you are. It's Terrell. What up, brother? And rock him all day. Anyway, uh, that's not. Shout out to you both for offering insight and a willingness to seek a solution-based dialogue about this extremely charged subject. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
This was not my idea. This was all this lovely lady's idea right here, and it took us a minute to get it together, but we are here. We are going to rock and roll, and we're gonna be here for the people. You know what I mean? So we appreciate you all for
Absolutely.
for coming through and chopping it up with us. So, excuse the production value for tonight's broadcast, but it's kind of done on the fly. But we'll get better. We will definitely get better. Let me see. We got another comment here. The Stack says, "I disagree. But I hear no Big Daddy Kane all day. Whatever. anyway, anyway, whatever. You already know. You already know. But so why do you think that? Why do you think that women have a hard time allowing men to be accepting men being vulnerable around them? Well, some women. I don't want to say all, but some women.
Again, it comes from culture. It comes from what her mom and her grandmom and the women in her life have told her what a man should be, what he should do, what he should bring to the table, how he should treat her. You know, it's that kind of thing. But times have changed. Time has changed a lot. And the part that kind of gets to me a lot is you want this man to be this pillar to you. What are you to him? That's the big question. Okay, you want him to be strong. You want him to be a provider. You want him to make sure that you feel safe and you feel secure. Okay, so in all of that you want from him, at what point in all of that is he allowed downtime? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
When will a woman allow that man to have some down? Because just like she's tired, she works all day, she's got, the mother duties, the wife duties, he's got the same, just in a different way. So he deserves to have that downtime. And if you're not a woman who's willing to be open and allow your man to feel safe with you, that brother in trouble. Just period. Because her mindset is no, he has to be strong, he has to be this, he has to be that. He doesn't have to be anything. He's what you allow him to be. And if you allow him to have a moment of downtime, that's going to make him stronger for you because he's got time to release some of the stuff that he don't need to be carrying. But that's just my input on it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I definitely agree. Of course, the show itself is called Safe Space, and the objective with any healthy relationship is to have a meeting of the minds that does
Mhm.
not lead into someone feeling as if they are being taken advantage of. And I believe that's what a lot of men have experienced prior to. Um, they've been taken advantage of emotionally, and so therefore they don't they're not too trusting moving forward because they've already been told that, okay, well, you ain't supposed to be doing that as a man. You're not supposed to be, open, you're not supposed to be vulnerable. I had an uncle tell me one time, you know um
Mhm.
he told me, it's like, well, you like your girlfriend? I'm like, yeah. It's like, well, do you tell her anything about yourself? I'm like, yeah. He's like, why? Like, well, why not? That's my girlfriend. He's like, well, she's your girlfriend today, but tomorrow she can be a stranger. And here it is, you telling her all this, that, and the third, or whatever. Like, but why would I be with somebody who I cannot trust? You see what I'm saying? So those are the type of things that we as men, we have grown up hearing and whatnot. They've been drilled into our heads. And I'm by no means a proponent for men running around being weak and all that, crying at the drop of a dime, all that else. I'm not talking about that, man. I ain't talking about that. I'm just saying, okay, well, you know, a lot of times we're not vulnerable because we've been taken advantage of in, in other situations. And so now it's like the old song says, won't get fooled again. And so, you're just like, nah, I ain't going in that area. You did, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I believe happens in that instance. Stag. All right, Joe Jackson beating Mike was toxic masculinity. No, that was not. That was that was that had nothing to do with any toxic masculinity. That was just straight up. That was just straight up abuse. That's just what that was. And you know what I mean. And you know, what if it would have been Catherine doing that? You know what I mean? What if it would have been Catherine handing out the whoopings? I mean, would we say that that, oh, that's toxic femininity? I mean, we have to be cognizant about what it is that we're saying here. It isn't so cut and dry. You know what I mean? You have to consider the source of the information that is being put out there. And I mean, hell, I was an abused child. I mean, I didn't suffer from toxic masculinity. I suffered from abuse that didn't have anything to do with, with masculinity. Masculinity does not hurt. It is not something that is bad. You know what I mean? The world is trying to make the world is trying to make masculinity bad, and that's just not what's up. We got to do better than that, brother. But all right, your other comment is toxic masculinity examples. Toxic masculinity praises men for having multiple sexual partners while expressing disgust at women who do the same thing, refusing to help with household duties. That again that's misogyny. That's not toxic masculinity. That's not toxic masculinity. That's misogyny. All right. That's misogyny. I'm not even going to say ignorance, because ignorance means that you don't know any better. In a lot of instances, yeah, we do know better. So that's just stupidity. I mean, as you grow older, you're not necessarily. We just said the whole thing about body count last night. You're not worried about a woman's body count or anything like that. You are worried about what value she brings to your life. So again, you gotta shut that down, man. That whole toxic masculinity angle. Nah. All right. Now, another question. Another question for you, Miss Burkett. Um, what do you think of the women who what do you think of the women who violate the sanctity of their relationship by talking outside of their relationship? What do you think of women who do that?
Just talking.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, like let's say your man, your man that lost his job, right? He lost his job or whatever. He's confided in you how downtrodden he is about losing this job. All right,
Mhm.
and you go back and you tell your girls, oh, this dude lost his job and this, that, the third, whatever. All right. Then
Yeah.
it come back. Then it come back around to him in the form of somebody else telling him what his woman has what his woman has shared with the outside world. What do you think of women who do that?
That's wrong, because again, he trusted you in the safe space, and you pretty much, you went outside of that, and that it's wrong. That's the bottom line. That's how I feel. It's absolutely wrong. What your partner shares with you is for you. It's not for nobody else. If he don't tell you, well, babe, I don't care if you share it with somebody else. Then that's something that you take to your grave, even if y'all break up, even if y'all mad with each other. That's something that stays with you and him. Period. You know, that's like me and my ex-husband. We've been divorced 20 years. And during our marriage, he said a lot of stuff that I would never share with anybody. because he trusted me enough in our safe space to share this stuff, knowing I would never, you know, share with anybody else. So just like women don't want, we want to be vulnerable with our mates. And so if we tell you in our private space, okay, I was sexually abused when I was little, I would feel absolutely devastated to hear from somebody else that my man came back and said to them something that I told him in privacy and confidentiality. So it's wrong. It's wrong on whoever does it in the relationship. It's wrong.
I agree. I think it's a scumbag thing to do. I also think it's a scumbag thing to not not fight fair. And what I mean by that is, okay, if you guys are in a heated argument or whatever, for whatever reason, that is not the time for you to be bringing up everything that they told you in confidentiality. That is wrong. I don't don't chalk it up to you being to you being mad or whatever. For one, mad is for dogs. If you cannot control your emotions to that level, then you know what? You need to get away from that situation. You don't need to be in a relationship. You don't need to be married or anything like that. You need to remove yourself from that situation, and you need to go work on yourself. If I cannot get my point across in a heated conversation without having to use what you've told me in confidence to demean you, to demoralize you, to disrespect you, then I'm showing you I don't care anything about you. And you can't sit up there and tell that person, oh well, you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry. I said that to you later on, because I mean you can do it, but it doesn't take the scar away. It doesn't take the sting
That is
away.
correct. That is
And,
correct.
and again, that's a real scumbag thing to do. Both men and women need to stop doing that.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right. S. Dot said that we may have what may have to happen is that we as a culture need to look at what we think support looks like and what it needs to look like to those who need it. That is true. That is true. Uh, it's crazy because men don't have a whole lot of outlets. They don't have a whole lot of outlets. Um, and and in today's day and age, there's the spaces for men to actually be men are becoming few and far between. Um, it seems as if there's somebody always has a problem with something that men do. I mean, now it's kind of crazy. Like, yo, you a man, you can't even breathe. Like, what? Whoa, wait a minute, what's happening here? You know what I mean? When did we get here? When did we get here? And so, we I just want to see things. I just want to see things be different. You know what I mean? I definitely want to see things be different. It has to be different. What would you like to add to that, Ms. Burkett?
I'll say this: men have to, because they don't know what support looks like. When a person comes to you and try and talk to you, you can't shut down because it doesn't look like what you think it should be. It could be what you need if you
Mhm.
give it a chance, or if you open up and give that person a chance to see if they can help you. So shutting down doesn't help the situation. Sometimes it just takes a little trust and maybe just a little bit of faith, you know. But I think the big problem is people just don't trust one another. That's the bottom line. You don't, when you don't know what it is, you don't trust it because you don't know what it is. But how are
Right,
you going to learn what it is if you don't take a chance?
right. Yeah, yeah. Like I said earlier, this whole love and relationship thing, it's a gamble, and people will go to the casino every other day or whatever, or whatnot, and gamble all day and lose and whatever, and whatever, be right back the next day, and that just be it. All right, but okay, but this too, this is a gamble. This is a gamble, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and you know what I mean. You don't quit playing because you lose. You just say, all right, well, what went wrong here? How can I avoid that in the future? What is it about me that was attracted to that? And you work on fixing yourself, and then you get back in there. That's it. I mean, of course, I know it's easier said than done. You know what I mean? And all that, but it has to be done.
Absolutely.
It has to be done. So
Okay.
let's see here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So with what you just said, I'm going to be transparent on this.
Mm-hmm.
So I divorced 20 years ago. I went in total shutdown. I didn't want nothing to do with nobody that had a penis. It was just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that because I gave my all. I trusted this person. Hoopla, hoopla, ha. So I went to the Middle East, and that's where I stayed for 21 years, literally on and off, because I didn't want to have to open up. I didn't want to have to deal with relationships. I didn't want to have to deal with all the stuff that comes with getting to know a person and, getting into a relationship. But in the midst of all of that, I ran into some really good brothers. Now I can say that I've ran into some really good Black men from all over the world. And what they've taught me is communication is the key to everything. Men can't read what I want, what I need from them, what I desire from them. Um, and I couldn't carry what I thought a man was compared to what a man actually does do or what he's capable of doing. So I had to, like I said, change my mindset about a whole lot of things. And so now, just recently, probably in the last year, it's like, okay, let's revisit this. Let's see if I want to open up myself. And then I come back to the States, and it's like it's kind of a shock to the system because if you're nice, they think you're flirting with them. If you don't say nothing, then you're a bitch. So it's just like, ooh, okay, what we got going on with the men? But on the flip side, you have some brothers who are out there saying, hey, give me a chance. Take a chance on me. So again, like I said, you have to be willing to take that chance to trust. But if you still all jacked up on the inside, nothing's going to change because you're still going off of those old, off the wounds and the battle scars. And I took the time to heal before I'm jumping back into this race. So it's important. It's important to not only look at giving someone a chance, but it's important to make sure that you clean up your own stuff before you walk into somebody else's life too.
I agree. And 20 plus years I would say definitely it's a good amount of time to get yourself together. You
Yes,
you
it
should
is.
you should have some solid foundation built in 20 something years. you know, it's
But it took me 10, honestly. It took me
okay.
10 years
Okay.
to focus on because I was on such shutdown. I didn't realize it had been that long, to tell you the truth. But
Mm-hmm.
the first 10 years, I was just in my own head. I was rebellious against everything and everybody. And then it fin- actually it took my sons to say, well, mama, you plan on dating or getting a man or something? And I was like, what? Really hadn't even thought about it until I saw that my children were just like, all you do is work, go to the gym and come home. You know, when my youngest son asked me, was I gay? I was like, I'm sorry. And he was like, Mama, I've never seen you with a man. That hit home a little bit, you know? And it's not that it bothered me. It was just like, I hadn't even paid attention to it. So just cleaning out your own closet. It takes everybody their own amount of time. 20 years is a long time, really long time. But fear will keep you stuck in a place that you can't move forward. And I was afraid. I was just afraid of getting into something new because I didn't want to go back through what I had been through with ex partners.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right, right. So, speaking of fear, the whole well, the whole women being single and dying alone with a bunch of cats, that should not necessarily be a fear. That should not be a scare tactic.
Mm-mm.
Um, I need brothers to come up off of that. That's not a smooth rebuttal. Uh, you know, there's no caskets and bunk beds. So we all going where we going by ourselves. You dig?
Yeah.
So it's telling a woman who may have rejected your advances or who may not necessarily be giving you the cooperation that you seek, that she is going to die alone with a dog or whatever, is not a clever comeback. It isn't. Um, I'm sure a lot of these women understand that yeah, that eventually we all have to perish, and when that day comes, we will be going by ourselves. I mean, I get it. You're trying to emphasize that, okay, well, if you don't, basically, if you don't choose me, you're gonna just die alone, which is egotistical in if you really think about it. I mean, now this is coming from somebody with a huge ego. Now that's a little bit too rich for my blood. Like, yo, you don't choose me, you just gonna die alone. You ain't gonna have no other options. What? Okay. All right. All right. But then on the
You
flip
know,
side, ladies, I need y'all to stop telling brothers, oh well, you just gonna end up in some old nursing home and ain't nobody gonna want you and all that. That's not a smooth comeback either. That's not a smooth comeback either. I'm seeing all these CNAs and no disrespect to CNAs and people who work in nursing homes and all that. They sit up there kicking all these war stories, talking about, oh yeah, it's the old men that be up in these nursing homes and don't nobody come visit them, and because then they did this, they did. Man, not everybody's situation is like that. Come on, man, stop being extra. Stop being extra. The bottom line is that, hey, we all would like to have somebody, but if it's not somebody of quality, then being alone is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. Stop with the BS.
ooh, you know, that is one of I just said that to someone. I told him, I said, before I have such peace at home. I have peace in my world. So when I tell someone that I want to be their safe place, it's because I have no drama. I have my own, you know, there's nothing but peace here. So when you come here, if peace is not what you want, I don't want you here. And if you're going to disturb my peace, I don't want you here. So they can tell me I'm gonna die with a cat. I'm okay with it because me and the cat gonna have peace. So peace is such a big thing right now, you know, and a lot of people, because their minds are all over the place, they don't have peace with themselves. So they can't give you peace. They don't know how to give you peace. But
Mhm.
again, I can't come to you and tell you what I need if I don't know what I need.
That's true. That
Okay.
is true. That
So
is true.
that's a lot of the problem. There's this one guy, and I don't know who he is, but he's on social media. And it perturbs me because this whole I'm a man, but I want to be a woman, and I'm doing all this and I'm doing all that. 1 minute you're with a woman, 1 minute you're with a man. So how do you go to people and tell them what you need when you're confused about what you need, who you need? That's what's going on in this world today. It's just so many shenanigans going on. Everybody's confused. So if you have a peace of mind and you know which direction you going and you can welcome somebody into that space that deserves to be in that space, hey, go for it. Go for it.
I just say rock with who rocks with you. Um, you know, unfortunately, we are always reaching. And sometimes we are reaching beyond our own reality. And a lot of people don't like hearing this, but the majority of people who take in oxygen on this planet are going to live an average life. You're not going to get the spectacular life that you see on TV and all that. Not because you're not good enough or whatever. It's just not going to happen for everybody. It doesn't happen that way, and you got to be okay with knowing that. You got to be okay with knowing that, and that's not a bad thing, because see, some people who actually get that life, they get that life and they end up going crazy. They're going off on the deep end. So you have to realize that there's not a life worth living that's better than yours, and so you got to make the most of it. But if you decide that, okay, I'm just going to stop myself right here because I'm not getting that up there, well, that's not meant for you. Everything that comes into your life, everything good, bad, or ugly, was meant to happen. It was meant for you
Correct.
to have.
Correct.
So, again, if you end up exceeding expectations and all that, it was meant to happen. But for some people, they're not going to be anything other than average. And I know that, again, I know a lot of people, man, shut up, man, whatever, man. Oh, what? Okay, all right. Well, the numbers bear this out. There's 8 billion people on this planet. Not everybody is going to get everything that they want. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. But if you are content with with who you are and where you are, it's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful life, because the objective is, you want to have somebody in your corner, when the shit goes down, that actually gives a damn about you.
Correct.
When people have gotten
100%.
people have gotten lost, they've gotten away from that. They care so much about aesthetics and material
Hmm.
things and all that,
Hmm.
and they're not focused on the whole fact that the objective is, if you're going to have somebody in your life, they need to give a damn about you first. So rock with who rocks with you. That's as simple as I could put it.
Well, I just want to say one thing on that. The other problem is so many people are caught up on give. I have to give in order to be with a person. Okay. So what happens when you meet a person that don't need anything from you? They just want to put you in a place where you're with a good person, you're at peace, there's no drama, you're safe with that person, you're secure with that person, and that person doesn't really need anything from you. Most men don't know how to deal with a woman that comes like that. That's just offering them safety and peace. That's all, you know, because they feel there has to be some kind of drama. They have to give her something, or, you know, and that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. It's
Well,
just
those,
like, go ahead.
those men are addicted to chaos.
Well, it's a whole lot of them. It's a whole lot of them. And it's sad because even overseas, you know, when you meet a person, the first thing they come to the table with is, let me take you shopping. Let me do this. Okay, I make my own six figures. I don't need you to take me shopping. So now we've taken material things off the table. What you got? I don't need you to buy me this. I ain't got no hair. I don't need you to get my hair done. I don't need you to get my nails done. You know, what you got after that? When it comes down to basic communication, understanding, and talking about what you want, how you feel, putting all the cards on the table face up so that everybody knows what you need, what you want, taking expectations off the table, because expectations is what starts the problem, because you're expecting something from someone who can't give you that. And so communicating. That's what it's about. Communicating and breaking stereotypes and changing mindsets. I
I
think
agree.
that's what's going to bring the Black man and the Black woman back together on an even foundation. If we can't get that together, we're never going to be on the same level, because it's just going to be constant chaos everywhere.
I agree. I definitely agree. And like as you said, there are a lot of men who are used to leading with their wallets. They're used to leading with their material items and all that. And
Mhm.
so when they when that's taken away from them, well, not necessarily so much taken away from them. When they come up against someone who doesn't need any of that, who doesn't desire any of that, they're like, oh, okay. Well, what else? What they're basically impotent, so to speak. They have
Mhm.
nothing else. And
Mhm.
it's just like a woman that's like, okay, well, if she meets a man who's not necessarily controlled by his need to conquer other women, then she's like, okay, what do
Mhm.
I do with this? What do I do with this
Mhm.
dude? What? Nah, I don't. Now he boring. He weird. He whatever. Okay, they make all those excuses, but in
Mhm.
reality, what it is that you just ran up against somebody you weren't qualified for. That's really all it
Correct.
is.
Correct.
You just ran into somebody that you weren't qualified for. And to make yourself feel better and to look better, you came up with all these excuses when in fact you just weren't in their league.
And
It's
that's a
just
true statement.
that's the bottom line.
True statement.
All, all right. Well, we have been on for an hour and almost 15 minutes. We've had a great conversation, a wonderful conversation. Um, I'll give you a chance to get some last words in.
I'm just looking forward to having more chats about adult topics and things that we can do to bring the Black man and woman together, because I think unity of Black men and women is just such a powerful thing, and it's something that we need to bring back into normality instead of being against one another. Come together, love one another, and just make things better for the next generation that's coming up, because they need to see that Black men and women can love one another in a healthy way, and it don't have to be the drama and the toxicity, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
thank you for having me again today.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you for joining me. And yeah, we are going to have a lot more conversations such as this. We are going to be doing this every Saturday night, with the exception of next Saturday night, because I'm traveling, whatnot. Gotta go see moms, what have you. But we'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So and that will also actually be my birthday weekend. So we'll be doing a little celebrating or whatever. So we'll get that popping off. But y'all know where to find me. Friday Night Live. I'm in, and also I'm in the group and all that other good stuff. Um, I'm really close to 500 subscribers. I'm at like 579 last count. So I need 21 more. So 20, I need 21 more y'all to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All right. We're gonna get this done. And I have a giveaway planned once I reach that 500 subscriber mark. So Y'all got to stay tuned for that. But we both appreciate you all for coming out and rocking with us. Keep your eyes peeled for when we do this again. It's been a great conversation. All of you have a good evening. And as always, 2 fingers equals peace.
All right.
All right. Good night, y'all.